Senator, we're awaiting that sentencing from Paul Manafort. Obviously, Michael Cohen was back in the House yesterday behind closed doors. A lot of chatter about whether or not the Mueller report, when it finally concludes, will be made public. Some Republicans, including the president, are suggesting it might not be. Is that the right approach?
No, I think Thomas Jefferson nailed it over 200 years ago when he said that when the people need to know the truth, and if they know the truth, they won't make a mistake. In this case, what we really need to know is the truth, and let the chips fall where they may.
Now, switching gears, you just came from a hearing. You're the top Democrat on the Senate subcommittee that released a report about this hearing with the CEOs of MARRIOT and Equifax. They've had massive data breaches. What did you take away from this hearing?
One, if the folks running Equifax and MARRIOT today had been running it Equifax like 3, 4, 5 years ago, we would not have had the hearing today.
Really?
The folks who are in charge now are change agents. They actually understand cybersecurity. They get it. They've made it a top priority within their organization. They've actually aligned their compensation for their senior officials, senior managers at Equifax to make sure that they focused hugely on cybersecurity. That's one of the takeaways. Second takeaway is we need like one national law, not 50 state laws on data protection, data security, notification of these hacks. We need a national law. And the last thing is that we as individuals, ourselves, with what I would call cybersecurity 101 as consumers, change our passcodes. Make sure that we're changing out our credit cards from time to time. Yeah. There's all kinds of little stuff that we can do to help look out for ourselves.
From a business community standpoint, there's a lot of apprehension among some of the folks that I talk to about new cyber legislation, particularly when it comes up against the patchwork of state-level legislation. What role does the private sector have in helping to craft a national standard that might not hurt them from a headline risk standpoint and also protect consumers?
Yeah, I always say, ask your customer. In this case, among the customers that we have to ask about this legislation, one, certainly the financial services institutions, the merchants. Two, the other stakeholders that include people, human beings who are hacked by this. And so there are a number of stakeholders, and what we have to do, and the challenge is get all the stakeholders in the Congress in line with something that has jurisdiction in about 3 or 4 different committees, involves a whole bunch of different federal agencies, and get us on the same page and agreeing and going in the same direction. That's the challenge.
Switching gears from cyber policy, let's talk eco policy. You've got an amendment before the Senate. Many folks are saying it's different than the Green New Deal that Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has put forward. Is this a divide amongst Democrats?
Well, actually, a lot of people look at climate change and global warming as something that should divide us. I think it should unite us. Yeah. This is something that should unite all of us, Democrats, Republicans, people in this country, people across the globe. This is a huge threat that we face, and the good news is that if we actually work together and unite, we can survive, and our planet will survive in a decent shape. And the other thing we could do is create jobs while putting people to work on more energy-efficient vehicles, whether it happens to be offshore wind, you name it. There's a lot of ways for getting more energy conservation out of our buildings, and that we can create we're already creating 3 million jobs today in this area.
And it's competitive with China. And in fact, I know this is a big area of yours. You released a report about the educational structure and financing that the Chinese are doing to influence the education system here in the United States.
Yeah, the Chinese are not dumb. They have about 100 universities where they set up these Confucius centers where they could share with us their language, their cultures, and so on. And that's all well and good, but we ought to have some reciprocity here. I think we have 3 in their country. I think maybe 100 for 100, probably a good deal, and that would be good for them and frankly good for us.